Oh, yeah? Well, so's your face. Stop touching my magic phone. Well, you're mistaken.
Vidka?
Okay.
You're really campaigning for Bitch of the Year, aren't you?
I swear, one of these times you're gonna wake up in a coma.
If we can focus, keep discipline, and not have quite as many mysterious deaths, Sunnydale is gonna rule!
Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 59 of GrrArghCast, the Buffy the Vampire Slayer podcast for Slayer aficionados and newcomers. I'm here with, hi, I'm Brandon Ellison. I'm your host, and this is...
I'm not sure either.
I don't know what's going on today.
I'm not quite sure, but I'm otherwise known as Jewel Rocket Rose.
Yeah, as time normally shows, we are Brandon and Jewel. Today we are husks of our former selves, driven mad by puppies and warm weather.
No, you guys, for real, I'm 107. I threw my back out. Stop it. That creature is just, I am dying for it.
For those of you
because I'm like regressing. I'm like 16 again, living at home with my parents. I had to ask my mother for permission to get this dog. Otherwise, I would have just shelled out some money and had this dog shipped to me next week.
For those of you who are just listening to the podcast and not watching, I have a puppy in my hands, and her name is Mimosa, and she's 1 month old.
No, stop it, Brandon. Her name is Pauletta Girl. We know this. Pauletta.
Jewel has renamed her to Pauletta Girl.
Pauletta Girl.
And apparently she works at a salon in Harlem. And Jewel wants to take this dog.
It has a heart on it. She looked at me in her sleepy little face. Oh, I can't stand it.
Jewel, can you double check your microphone for me, please, and thank you?
Every fucking time, Jewel. It's correct, Brandon.
Good. I'm just making sure. Just
listen,
Anyway.
It's correct. It's correct.
That's what we've been up to this week. Yesterday was my birthday, and I raised about $600 for.
Oh my God! Happy belated birthday! How awful am I, you guys? I did not wish Brandon happy birthday yesterday. I was so back on my own bullshit. My God, I'm an awful human. Happy birthday, Brandon!
Thanks. I am officially 30, and 30. And so that's how old I am now. I'm halfway to death, but at least I have a sleeping puppy in my arms.
I can't. Look at her eyebrows. She has defined brows. Look at most people don't even have that. Oh, she's dreamy. Here, Al, you want to come see her?
If you don't follow us on Patreon, you're not seeing the video of this, which is probably super exciting for those of you who are listening live. Just imagine the cutest puppy you've ever seen in your life, and she's white with like brown and black, like kind of.
She has a heart on her in black.
She has a heart in her fur.
She has a black heart on her sleeve,
which is hard to show without waking her up. So I'm not going to.
Don't wake her.
But yeah. Anyway, so that's what's going on here. Jewel, how was your Passover?
Well, I'm just so glad it passed over because the mask situation that I had going on, I will post in our Patreon page because it was just horrific. A lot of the people who go to our temple are founding members, as you know, and
of Judaism.
Of the entire religion,
yes,
of the existence of. I mean, some of them knew Moses personally, but listen, and I'm sure we've all known Moses personally in our own time, but
what?
I wanted to make sure that everyone would be able to hear me and see me speaking to them. So I got masks that had a clear panel right here for your mouth, like from tip of the nose to the chin. You could see inside the mask under this clear panel. It was not an attractive look, and I am so glad it has passed us over as far as I'm concerned.
I actually went to Passover Seder with a couple girls here, and I had some delicious mushroom like latkes that were very good. Yeah, it was tasty. I'm not a religious person at all.
No, it's a delicious holiday, though, I will tell you. It's very good. There's 3 holidays that are just scrumptious, in my opinion. Passover, always delicious.
Yeah.
Also, matzo ball soup. You cannot get better than that, for real. Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah. Those are close second and thirds for me. Rosh Hashanah, you do brisket, you do kugel, you do all the things. Like, not potato kugel. I'm talking like real noodles.
That's what I was thinking of. I said latkes, but I actually meant kugel. I had mushroom kugel.
Yes, and then bagels and schmear on Yom Kippur, and just like loaded with all this stuff.
I'm so happy that God killed all those Egyptian babies so that we could have delicious food.
You know, God gives and God takes, Brandon.
Yes, apparently.
You can't have both.
Naomi says, how is Yom Kippur delicious? You fast.
You fast all day and then you gorge yourself at night. It's, how is that not delicious? That is, prolonging the, amazingness that is I don't know. I mean, Naomi, it just is. Just
also,
back off.
Apparently, BJ sent a message to his family on WhatsApp this morning, but it was still Pesach. I don't know what that means, but that's what
Passover. It was still Passover.
It was still Passover, so his heresy was on display. He just put that in the comment section.
Ooh, you know that's a big no-no, BJ. You know, Benedict Cumberbatch, that was a big one. You're not supposed to be doing that.
Jewel, have you been watching or listening or reading anything this week?
Oh my God, what have I not been? I watched that new Eric Andre movie on Netflix, Bad Trip, and let me tell you what, it took me a minute to get into it and figure out what the fuck was happening, but it is fantastic and horrifying and disgusting. It's like grosser than Jackass, but like just a step up intelligence wise. Like, it's a little smarter than Jackass, but also a little grosser than Jackass. So the balance is really spectacular.
Okay.
I've been watching, what did I start watching again, Brandon? You're be so impressed with me, beyond impressed, I think. I started rewatching Smash.
Oh, I've never watched it.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I love it.
I got around to watching Barb and Star go to Vista Del Mar for the first time.
How was it? I've heard great things.
Hysterical. It's exactly the kind of like late 90s gross out gross out stupid comedy, like Zoolander-y. Not even that gross, actually, just dumb, but like dumb fun.
No, the Eric Andre one is gross. I don't think this could be that gross.
No, this one isn't gross at all. I mean, at some point they have to jump off a cliff to avoid getting eaten by alligators, and their culottes inflate like parachutes and save them.
Of course they do.
They're from the Midwest. It's really silly. It's really fun. I highly recommend it.
Where else do you know about culottes from, Brandon?
Well, of course, from Drop Dead Gorgeous, my favorite movie ever. She sold these culottes herself.
Culottes.
Yes. She had a fat ass then. She's got a fat ass now. That's my favorite movie ever. I really loved it. It actually kind of feels like Drop Dead Gorgeous in some ways.
My girl,
and Jamie Dornan's in it, and he's so hot.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of over that. But I just question out there, since it is springtime and my ladies with the long hair, who else is shedding? I am actively shedding. You know what that's like?
My shedding has come and passed, frankly. But to answer your question, yes, I do know what that's like. I'm trying to think if I haven't really been watching anything else. I had a bunch of people over the other night and we played Jackbox games, which was really nice. I haven't done that since the pandemic.
Aren't those fun when you get to play those?
Fun.
We do them when we go to Palm Springs, but only when my friend Amanda brings her boyfriend. By the way, you guys, how did I throw my back out? I haven't told her yet, and I don't know how to tell her to her face that her couch just does not like my back.
Jewel is having an existential crisis on how to tell her friend that she has an uncomfortable couch.
Like, beyond uncomfortable, you guys. How do you, but this will mean something to her. So I feel really guilty and horrible about even like mentioning it out loud. But you guys, it is the number one most uncomfortable sofa I have ever sat on in my entire life. And that includes every single doctor's office ever.
All right. Noted.
It's how do you tell you guys? Give me some advice.
How do you solve a problem like Maria?
I mean, I almost thought about buying her a new couch as a gift. I was like, you know what? This affects my life a lot more.
Just don't sit on her couch. Maybe she likes her uncomfortable couch. Maybe it was her grandmother's uncomfortable couch and her mother before that.
No, that's not who she is. But she did select this couch. This was a choice of hers, and that matters to her.
For those of you who are not Patreon subscribers, I continue to throw this adorable puppy into the camera just so Jewel will be more tempted to adopt. We have a lot of puppies here. There's a lot of dogs that need homes. So if you're looking to get a dog, please adopt, don't shop, because that's not cool.
I mean, for real. And that puppy in Brandon's arms will be cheaper than the puppy that you could get anywhere else, because she will come complete with a hysterectomy. And
that's not exactly what spaying is, but close.
Well, whatever. You know.
They'll remove all of her lady parts,
and she
so she doesn't go through menopause.
Mm-hmm.
But menopause. Dumb. Yes, and they fully vaccinate them and they fly them out. Yeah, honestly, you should probably adopt a dog.
I mean, seriously.
And Mexican street dogs are super cute. And
no,
super
they're
sweet.
Seriously, I have a Mexican street dog. Her name is Mooney Rose. She is now almost 16 in July, and her papers are from Guadalajara, and she has not had anything wrong with her ever. Knock on wood. The only thing that's happened is that she has had some dental work, but what old bitch hasn't?
Well, this girl, I don't want to wake her up to show you, but she has very good teeth. Nice strong jawline on this one. How many hands tall is she, Brandon? 2.
That's how you measure horses. Heather will get that.
2 if I'm going long ways, but I don't know how to measure a horse. It's just something. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've had some wild nights at the bathhouse. I've had to measure some horses, if you know what I mean. Oh my goodness, this podcast is X-rated. Actually, it turns out that the algorithm on podcast, as long as you don't cuss or say anything vile in the first 10 minutes, you don't have to mark it as having explicit content, which means that you get seen by more people. So as long as we didn't say fuck or piss or shit or measuring horse cocks, I think we're okay in the first 10 minutes.
Do we really have to talk about horse cocks today?
Well, I don't know. You're the one that brought up horse cocks. I don't know what to tell you. Speaking of horse cocks, let's not talk about
Riley on his last episode.
Oh, it's not his last episode.
Oh, kill him.
Let's talk about the episode Fool for Love. Angel, Drusilla, and Darla haunt Spike's memory. In an effort to learn about Slayer's final battles, Buffy forces Spike to recount how he was able to kill 2 Slayers. His flashbacks reveal his first meeting with his one true love, Drusilla, and how lovers Angel and Darla joined them. So this episode and the next episode that we'll cover, which is the Angel episode, Darla, were kind of a crossover in that they have similar flashbacks and they cover kind of the same storylines.
I think they tried to get the most out of their shooting day, is what I think.
That's also what I think as well. It's clear that a lot of that was shot at the same time. That being said, some great cameos in these episodes of former characters that we haven't seen in a while. So let's dig in, shall we?
Let's dig on in.
So the episode opens with Buffy fighting this vampire who looks like he's from the Ramones. He's dressed like a punk. Awful. And she keeps making reference to it, which is somehow even worse. It's an interesting fight in that it should be just like a run-of-the-mill vampire fight for her, but he turns her stake around and stabs her in the abdomen with the stake, and it's a serious wound.
Yeah,
and she
runs hurt.
Yeah,
she stopped paying attention.
Exactly. And the vampire is there holding her stake, and he's ready to kill her, but Riley shows up and fights the vampire away. Riley saves the day, which I have very strong feelings against. I'm sorry, did somebody say Sebastian Stan in the comments? Nope.
We don't Sebastian stand around these parts.
No.
I'm not a stand for him.
I don't think that vampire was Sebastian Stan, but if it was, then Jeff Galooly looked amazing. The next morning, Riley is working on Buffy's wound. Dawn is there, and
It's
But-
he's administering to her wound. He's not working
Yes.
on it. He's administering.
Right.
It's awake.
So Buffy is like, Riley's like, you should probably go to the hospital because you just took a fucking stake into the abdomen. And Buffy's
She's
like,
no.
Mom will be sad if I do. And then Dawn comes in and is like trying to warn them that Mom is coming upstairs. And Joyce is like, hey, are you guys disinfecting something? And Dawn is like, no, it's my like nail polish. Dawn is like covering for Buffy here. Nice stuff. That's like some sisterly shit.
Well, it's like one of those things. Like I can call my sister fat, but you can't say shit about my sister.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So Buffy is doing some research with Giles to figure out like how previous Slayers died and what made their last battles like unique. But they can't find any useful information because past Watchers
died.
Yeah, and the Watchers before either didn't want to talk about it or they were killed along with the Slayers. And the only Slayer, or the only person that is really around anymore that's witnessed a Slayer's last battle is Spike. So Buffy,
he's killed two.
Yeah. So Buffy goes to the Bronze with Spike, and she's like, if you tell me what I want to know, I'll give you all this money. And Spike's like, okay, fine, but I really want buffalo wings because I don't want to have an empty stomach, which is very funny.
He wants a snack. I get it.
Yeah, and then she's like,
I didn't know vampires like ate food though.
I don't think they do.
He just wants wings.
I think he's just being obnoxious. Yeah.
Okay.
So then we get our first flashback, which is to a very young Spike pre-vampire when he's William the Bloody. And we've been told in previous episodes of the show that he was called William the Bloody because even before he was a vampire, he would torture people with railroad spikes. And that's why he became Spike when he was a vampire. But he was like a real fucking monster beforehand. But we actually find out that he's called William the Bloody because he's a bloody, awful poet. And a really bad poet and kind of a dork. And so this whole like backstory about him being this monster before he became a vampire was kind of bullshit. He has written this poem for this woman, Cecily. Now, Cecily is played by Kali Roca, who has been in a ton of things. My most memorable role for her was she was in the movie Meet the Parents. She's the flight attendant when Ben Stiller is like, bomb, 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 bomb. She's like, sir, you can't say bomb on an airplane. But you know who I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, anyway, that's a nice reference to a movie from 20 years ago that nobody remembers. But she actually plays another character later in the show, and they may or may not be the same character. A little piece of spoiler there.
What?
We'll get around to it. Yeah.
I'm already confused.
Anyway, so Cecily's like, your poem is shitty, and you are beneath me. I could never be with you. You're beneath me. And so he's like upset, and he goes out the street and he runs into this group of strangers, and Drusilla comes up to him while he's like tearing up all his poems, and she like comforts him, and she's like, you'll have a better future here, whatever. And he's like, yeah, okay. And when she is like drinking his blood and turning him, it's so funny because he's like screaming in pain, which nobody else does on this show. But it's like that's what a bitch Spike was before he became Spike.
Of course.
Yeah. So anyway, we're back in the present. Riley and the gang find vampires like drinking in a crypt, including the guy that staked Buffy. So they decide to go in the morning when the vampires are asleep, instead of trying to take them all on when they're awake. So Spike is talking about like after he became a vampire, how different he was and how he became empowered and destructive, and he wanted to get himself a gang. So then we go to Yorkshire in 1880. I took a lot of notes on this one. So Angel is like, I'm sorry. Okay, here we go. So Angel's talking to William, and William keeps saying, oh, my name is Spike now. I'm Spike now. I have this new like accent and swagger and like this new look, and like this is me. This is me. And he just likes to start mobs. Like that's his thing. He's in this like mine shaft, and they've gotten all these people to mob, to riot. And Angel feels that Spike's behavior is putting them in danger because the mobs are starting to hunt them. And Spike feels that Angel only fights that he knows he can win, and he doesn't fight like he doesn't get the joy or whatever out of the fight. And Angel's like, I prefer like to be an artist. Angel's like a serial killer, and Spike's like a fucking murderer. You know, like this is
He's
the
a
difference.
mass murderer.
He's
He
a mass
enjoys
murderer.
it.
Yeah, Spike is a school shooter, and Angel is just Ted Bundy. Too soon. Spike. So Angel lashes out at Spike and is like ready to stake Spike, and then Spike is like, "Well, I proved my point. Like you're just an emotional fucking loser." So Spike is like, I'm sorry, Angel's like, "Hey, you know what? If I can't teach you, maybe this mob will, or maybe the Slayer will." And this is the first time that Spike has ever heard of a Slayer. Interesting little take there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Poo.
So Spike learns more about the Slayers, and he is like, I am obsessed with like killing one of these Slayers. He's like, you know, a Slayer always has to reach for a weapon, but a vampire already has all the weapons that he needs. So he's like, here's this tale of this first Slayer that I killed. So we see Spike fighting with this Chinese vampire Slayer during the Boxer Rebellion in 1900. And she reaches for her stake, and he kills her. And Drusilla arrives, and they talk about the taste of her blood and how, like, whatever. And then they bang near her dead body, which, you know,
That's not great.
Tuesday. And Spike's like, this is the best night of my life, whatever. And Buffy is like, you got off on this. Like, what's wrong with you? And Spike is like, well, you know what? Even if you kill tens of thousands of vampires, all it takes is one vampire to have a good day. And then that's it. You're done. You know, Riley burst into the vampire nest alone, stakes the vampire that hurt Riley, and then literally blows up the rest of the vampire nest with a goddamn grenade. Like, Riley is ridiculous.
He has his strengths.
Well, his strengths are what? Throwing grenades into crypts? Like, somebody's mother is buried there.
I mean, I don't do the whole burial thing.
Well, I don't know how well that would go at Passover dinner. That's kind of, isn't that your whole thing? Aren't Jewish cemeteries like a BFD?
I don't know.
Oh, okay, cool.
Maybe I should. I'm not a clue.
So then we find out about the second Slayer, and the second Slayer's name is Nikki Wood, and we don't know that in this episode, but she comes into play in some later episodes.
Which one is she? Is she the one with, you know, is she like the
afro.
70s afro?
Yes.
Okay.
And
then what happened to the Asian girl?
He killed her.
Oh, right. So he kills the like karate loving the Chinese Slayer, and then he's gonna kill, you know, the Black Panther Slayer.
Yeah,
and I feel like I feel like she looks fly as all get out.
And okay, so let's talk about the fashion in this scene, because this is actually like one of those scenes. It's Spike on the subway fighting with this like Slayer girl. Describe what their outfits are in about 30 seconds.
Billy Idol for sure. I mean, we've got Spike with like the bleach blonde, spiky hair, leather everything, and he's got the chains and the piercings and all the good stuff. He should be at CBGB. And then he's got, you know, he's fighting the most fabulous looking Slayer since Buffy.
Yeah, well, before Buffy, but yeah.
Yeah.
I love both of their looks in that scene, especially like Spike's like that black vest with the safety pins in it. Like I
understand why my friend Kelsey wore that all through high school now. Like, I get it. Kelsey was always like she's a huge Spike fan, which she told me recently. Yeah. She's like, I can't believe you never watched Buffy. And I was like, never. She was like, didn't you notice like my look? I was like, no. I just thought that's how you wanted to dress.
Spike looks so cool in this scene, and also like maybe the hottest he ever looked. Big fan. And I don't generally think Spike is particularly hot because I'm more into Jonathan.
Oh my god. There's a fly.
We'll just get attacked. Anyway.
You guys, I'm just not well.
Yeah. So Spike is like the second Slayer that he killed was more like improvisational. She was less like classically trained. She wasn't all business. And he snaps her neck and takes her black leather coat, which is the coat that we see him wearing for most of the show.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, you just stole her look right off her dead Slayer body.
And made it look good. I'm just saying.
Man.
This fight and this character come back into play in the 7th season, just so you know.
That she comes back.
I wouldn't say that she comes back, but there's related things that happen regarding.
There's related content. Got it.
Yes. He's like Spike is like every Slayer has a death wish. Every Slayer wants to experience this thing that they've caused so much of, and he's like, the difference between you and these other girls is that you have all these ties. You have your mom, you have your sister, you have your friends. Like most Slayers are, and we've covered that in some earlier seasons as well. Like most Slayers are alone, and Buffy has all these connections to the world that she really like. There's things grounding her and keeping her sane, you know?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, fine. So Buffy and Spike are like standing nose to nose, and Spike tries to come on to her and tries to like kiss her, and
like pretends he's joking.
He's like, I want to dance, whatever. And she pushes him to the ground, and she says basically like, even if I wanted this, even if I had this death wish, it wouldn't be you, Spike. It'll never be you. You're beneath me, which is of course the same thing that Cicely said to him, and then throws money at Spike, which is actually kind of heartbreaking.
Really mean. Also, it's been hundreds, not tens and fives. That wasn't kind.
I think it might have been like $60 she was giving him. But honestly, like, he probably would have done it for free.
Well, if he could get it on. If he
So
had options with his day.
So Spike is like crying, like legitimately crying, picking up this money, and he is humiliated. He's sad. He's depressed, whatever. So he goes to his crypt where Harmony is, and he grabs a double barrel shotgun, and he's like, this time I'm getting rid of her. And Harmony's like, you've tried so many times and you failed miserably every fucking time. Mm-hmm. So like, what are we doing? And he's like, well, this time I'm going to blow her goddamn head off and it's going to hurt.
No questions. He's like, I'm going to be in pain. It'll be fine, but she'll be dead already.
Exactly. Problem solved. So then we have this like, flashback to right after Spike and Drusilla left Sunnydale in season 2. Mm-hmm. And Drew is like, I can't stand to look at you because all I can see is the Slayer. All I feel is you thinking about the Slayer, and she has this new boyfriend who is a chaos demon who
he drips from places,
who is played by Ken Feinberg, who is actually a friend of mine. When we did the Great Buffy Hootenanny in 2006 in Atlanta, and Ken was it was a very, very small Buffy convention, but Ken was one of our guests, and he was super nice, and knew nothing about the show other than the one scene he'd been in, but it was okay. He's very funny, actually. That scene where he's just like, I didn't realize she was with somebody.
But he has antlers.
He does have dripping, slimy antlers.
Would you be my friend if I had dripping, slimy antlers?
Of course I would. You don't even need to ask.
I wouldn't.
I
would ditch you in a heartbeat.
I mean, I feel like I just turned 30 so I'm pretty close to having drippy, slimy antlers. Because in gay, I'm like 68 now.
Ooh.
Yeah. So anyway. He's like, I'm sorry. So she recognizes that he has these feelings for Buffy. And she's like, you're not the same creature that satisfied me for all these years. And he's like, I did this all to protect you, like, because I love you, whatever. But she's not convinced. So Buffy goes home. She's obviously still shaken, and her mom is packing clothes and toiletries into a suitcase.
She's like, what up, bitch? What you doing?
And mom's like, I need to go to the hospital because I need a CAT scan and I need to stay over for observation. And
I told you she was dying. I told you she was dying. She's gonna die. She's gonna die in the hospital.
She's like, the doctors are concerned. Whatever.
It's over.
And this is just too much for Buffy. And Buffy goes and sits on her porch, and she's crying, and she's like, hurt Sarah Michelle Gellar she's pretty good. Like, she does hurt really well.
She's really good with tears.
Yeah. And Spike shows up with his shotgun ready to blow her head off, and he sees her crying. And looks up at him, and she clearly is not concerned at all that he has a shotgun in his hands.
She's not gonna hurt her.
Yeah, and so he goes and sits next to her and comforts her, and Buffy doesn't try to stop him, and that's the end of this episode. The ending is very sweet. So before we talk about our final thoughts, actually, do you want to do these as separate episodes, or do you want to do them as one? I'll give you the choice here. Joel?
I
I think you should do them as separate.
I think we do separate.
Yeah, I think so too, because they're related, but they're not the same plot lines. So anyway, the original title for this episode was going to be called Love's Bitch. The whole script was written in 4 days.
Well, you can tell.
Apparently, Darla and Drusilla looking on with glee as Spike and Angelus are fighting and trying to stake each other. Doug Petrie said, who's the writer of this episode, says it was a subtle allegory for female enjoyment of male homoeroticism, which I certainly enjoy the homoeroticism between Angel and Spike. I don't know if females generally do, but I do.
No,
No?
that's not what I know.
Do you think that Spike and Angel have ever done anything sexual?
I mean, they are old enough where I'm sure they've gotten bored at some point or another, and they're like, "What does that feel like?"
Right.
I bet they'd be like, "Well, I want to see," and
Yeah.
then you can be like, "I like it" or "I don't."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, this episode explains how Spike has the scar over his left eye. It's from that fight with the Slayer. But actually, James Marsters has that scar because he was mugged in New York when he was in his 20s. So there you go.
Maybe he should have fought back harder.
The foreign language titles of this episode are the Polish title is Chora Miłość or Miłość, which means sick love. The Hungarian title is A Szerelem elkabit, which means love stupefies. The German title is Eine Lektion fürs Leben, which means a lesson for life. And finally, the Italian title is Pazzi d'amore, or crazy with love.
I don't like any of them.
I don't like any of them either. I believe that apparently Ming Lu, the actress who plays the Chinese Slayer that Spike kills, is in the very final episode of Buffy, where she is seen being a Slayer as well. So there you go.
Do they come out as like superpower slayers, like 5 slayers at once?
No,
Oh.
they do not.
Whatever.
So anywho, so Jewel, final thoughts, letter rating this episode, Fool for Love.
I honestly, I liked this episode just because it had so much Spike, and then it also brought back Drusilla, who is, I still think, one of the best characters. I was very excited about that. However, the accent reared its ugly head a couple times, more so in the next episode we watched, but it's bad. Why do you know it's bad? Why do you keep making him do it? Is it for Joss's own amusement or some writer or producer's own amusement? Jane Stevenson, is it you?
So what's your letter rating on this episode?
Okay, I think this was just a move along episode. I think they needed an episode in 4 days. I think they were like, fuck, we forgot about this week. So we'll write something halfway decent. I'm going to give it a solid B. It was fine. It was fine for what it was. I liked that Spike got to be funny. I like that Sarah Michelle got to be vulnerable. And I like that they had more scenes together. I hope they have more scenes together in the future. And also, the less Riley, the better.
Yeah.
Also, I loved the scene with all the Scooby snacks in the
being noisy in the graveyard.
Loved it. I was like, you guys are funny.
Yeah. I really like this episode, actually. I agree with you. Not a lot happens in this episode, but that's kind of by design. It's a flashback episode. We're not supposed to see a lot happening, but I do think we finally get to see this like Spike,
it's like an
Buffy
establishing episode.
Exactly. We see this like Spike Buffy sort of relationship, not really relationship, but you know what I'm saying. This like dichotomy between Spike and Buffy really coming to the surface. And James Marsters is amazing in this episode. It might be his best acting so far in this episode. That was
at least they would give him an option to do something because they marginalized him so badly in the last full season.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and give this one an A-. I think it's a really good episode. It's not one of my favorites, though there is a lot being set up for the future in this episode. So before we could talk about our Angel episode, Jewel, let's talk about our Patreon.
Oh, Patronus.
We have a Patreon, patreon.com/GAC podcasts. And it's $5 a month to join. You get to watch our live video stream, which means in this case, you're going to start seeing puppies like every week because I'm always going to have different puppies.
Maybe I shouldn't get this one then. Maybe I should wait for the next one. Are there more options?
There's always puppies. That's the thing about working in dog rescues is that there's always puppies. Always.
You're always a puppy.
I am. Yeah, you're going to see puppies. You're going to get exclusive content. You're going to get extended interviews. You're going to get to join our private Facebook group, Cutest of the Scoobies, where we post all kinds of random shit and talk amongst ourselves. And yes, I gave an A-, Naomi. Thank you for asking in the comments. And by the way, you get to comment on our live episodes as well.
A-, Brandon, that's out of control for this episode. B+ at best.
I'm going to go with an A-. I says what I says.
Oh.
So join our Patreon, patreon.com/GAC podcast, $5 a month. You won't even notice it coming out of your bank account. And you get to fund us continuing the show. So anywho, that's what I got. Hey, Jewel, do you want to talk about this Angel episode?
Not if my life depended on it.
All right, let's go. This is like the second part of this crossover episode. There's continuations of
But except it has nothing to do with Buffy's episode other than they're both playing back to the past. Like, that's it. That's the only link.
And we do see things from a different perspective that we saw in the last episode, including one very funny scene, but we'll get around to it in a minute. So this episode starts, Angel is sitting in his room, sketching a picture of Darla. And then we see that there's like dozens of pictures of Darla all over the room. And then we see Darla in her apartment, and she has smashed all her mirrors. And Lindsay shows up, and Darla's like, I have a soul. I'm remembering everything I did as a vampire. I feel like a piece of shit. And Lindsay's like, we sent you out too soon. Like, this never should have happened. You're not just enemies. You're soulmates.
That's not true because Buffy's his soulmate, so bitch is lying.
I don't
like Lindsay. I don't like him at all.
I like Lindsay.
And I don't like his haircut at all.
Yeah.
His haircut is everything that was bad about the early 2000s.
Yeah, I like Lindsay a lot. But that's okay.
You would.
So we see I love this part. So our first flashback in this episode is in 1609 in Virginia, and we see a woman, Darla, who is a sex worker, and she is covered in syphilis sores, and she's dying of syphilis. And she's asking that the blinds are closed because she doesn't ask that the blinds are closed. A priest comes in and asks for the blinds to be closed, and he's wearing a hood. And Darla's like, God never did anything for me. I don't plan on doing anything for him.
She's like, fuck God. There is no God.
Exactly. Oh, by the way, one of the things we didn't talk about, I was going to mention this and I forgot to, but that Lil Nas X song and that new Lil Nas X video are amazing. Big fan. Anyway, that reminded me. Have you seen it yet?
Yeah, I did. I just don't care enough.
Oh, well, I loved it. Anyway.
I'm so glad you did.
So this priest pulls his hood back, and it turns out he's the master, who we haven't seen in quite some time.
Fruit punch mouth.
He's fruit punch lips. Yeah. Fruit punch mouth. You're right.
Disgusting.
And he is he's there. And this is like the story of how Darla was sired. Darla was created by the master, who is an insanely old.
But I like it. Like, who decided he was the master?
Okay, apparently Darla asked for the shutters to be closed. Who cares?
Who cares? They're closed. The
They're
shutters are closed.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, he's the master, and he is the one that turns Darla. And so then we're back in the hotel. Angel's desperate to track down Darla. Wesley and Cordelia are trying to talk him out of it, saying like it's going to be dangerous and difficult. We don't know where she is, whatever. And Gunn is
don't do it, boy. Don't do it.
Exactly. And Gunn is reminding them that Wolfram and Hart is going to be in charge of housing Darla, and that if they just follow their real estate acquisitions and expenses, that they should be able to find it.
Because Gunn is a fucking genius in comparison to these two young.
You love Gunn.
I love Gunn.
And you like Wesley too, though, don't you? Or you did last week?
Last week I gave him credit because he was funny and he played to his strengths, but you know, Wesley's a baby.
Anyway. So Darla, we now have a flashback to London 1760. Darla has brought Angelus before the master to be like, look at this beautiful thing that I've created, whatever. And Angel is completely unimpressed that these guys like live in the sewer. And he's like, the master's like, oh, well, we give tribute to the old ones. We wait for them to rise. And Angelus is like, why don't they just come to the surface now? And then he's like, also, your face looks like shit. Like Angel's really, really bitchy with the master, which I kind of enjoyed. And the master is like, you need to remain loyal to me, whatever. And then it turns out that Darla leaves the master to hang out with Angel. So Darla chooses Angel over the master, the guy that made her. Angel finds out that the name Darla didn't come into use until over a century after Darla was born.
But she doesn't remember her name anymore.
And Angel never knew it in the first place.
No, because she didn't have a name before she was Darla, because that person doesn't exist anymore. She died.
Yeah. So Angel is trying to figure out why Wolfram and Hart brought her back as a human instead of bringing her back as a vampire. And Wesley's like, they obviously have to control her. And the only way to do that is if she's a human. You can't control a vampire. And the whole point of resurrecting Darla was to keep them all distracted, which is obviously working perfectly. So Lindsay takes Darla to Wolfram and Hart. They bump into Holland Manners, who's the big lawyer guy there. And Lindsay's like, Holland reminds Lindsay that Darla isn't there where my notes don't make any sense. I'm sorry. He reminds Lindsay that she wasn't meant to be brought into the firm. There we go. Okay, now we go. After she made contact with Angel. And Lindsay's like, she has PTSD. She's all fucked up in the head.
Lindsay's in love with her. We get it.
Yeah. And Holland's like, things are moving much faster than we thought. And everything is good. Darla is not allowed to leave the building. And let's hide all the sharp objects because bitch is crazy.
Bitch is crazy.
Yes. So... So then we have a flashback to London, 1880. Angel, Darla, and Drusilla have fed on a sailor, and Drew is very lonely. And Darla's like, "Oh, I'll share. I'm jealous with you," but Drew's like, "No, his mind is too full." So
what does that even mean?
Well, it's Drusilla, so who knows? So Angel suggests that Drusilla makes her own partner, and she is like, I'm going to find a brave knight. I'm going to make him mine forever. And then she bumps into Spike, who she decides is her brave
knight.
Yeah.
You know what? You pick who you want, girl.
Right. So basically, Cordy has tracked down Darla. She called and pretended that it was her sister at this apartment that was being managed and whatever.
Of course she found her. Of course she did, because you know why women are ninjas on the internet. We are sleuths.
Exactly. Don't fuck with cats.
Nope.
Wesley and Gunn go to find Darla. Then we see Lindsay's office, and Darla admits that she doesn't remember her real name, whatever. She's been Darla longer than she was anyone. And Lindsay says they just brought back her. And as Darla moves in for a kiss, she accuses him of wanting her since the first moment they met. Lindsay gives in, and then Darla bites his neck, telling Lindsay that that's how vampires get what they want. So then she tells him that she can feel her body slowly dying and that her soul is a cancer. I mean, same girl. That was my Facebook post 2 days ago.
I'm just saying, though, Brandon, if you were able to change your name, what would you change your name to?
I mean, I did. Ellison's not my last name.
No, I know that, but but your first name, I feel like your first.
Oh, I don't know. I kind of like my first name.
When I was 4, I changed my name.
Oh, what'd you change it to?
I came home and I said, "Mommy, Daddy, my name is now Bianca. Bianca, you must call me Bianca now." And you know what it was after? It was definitely after Rescue Rangers, not the first one, but the second one where they go to Australia. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? But I was Bianca. I came home and needed to be Bianca. And I think it lasted a couple days, but after that,
I never really had like an alter ego or anything like that. Like everything was, I was very happy being Brandon. My mom told me that they thought I was a girl. So I was Brandy, and then I became Brandon. So there you go.
You are from Texas.
I am not from Texas.
It sounds like you are.
No, I am New York trash. I'm not Texas trash. Big difference.
Brandy.
I'm Long Island trash.
Your mother needs a swift talking to for calling you Brandy.
Well, okay.
Brandy
anyway.
with an I, Brandy?
No, I don't think so. It was a different time.
Brandy with a Y?
So we have a flashback to Romania in 1898. Angel has a soul, and he's walking around. And he's like crazy.
He
Darla,
hates it.
yeah, Darla tracks down the clan that gave him the soul, and I like actually the conversation she has with the leader of the clan, where she's like, "You have doomed him forever. Like your daughter's pain was over in a few minutes. This guy is going to be in hell forever." And she's like, "We can save your family. We can save your wife. We can save your kids." And then we see Spike showing up, burping blood because he already ate all of them.
Whoopsie doodle.
Whoopsie daisy. And then Darla snaps the leader of the clan's neck, and says like for Spike and Drew to kill the rest of them.
Well,
Yeah.
you know.
I'm kind of skipping. Oh yeah, Darla smashed all the mirrors because she has to look at herself every day and realize what she did. A security.
I just don't like this one. I mean, we've already seen this with Angel. It's like they did the same story again, but put a girl's face on it. I just like vampires having a meltdown when they get a soul and find out what awful things they've done.
Yeah.
Got it. Thanks, Joss Whedon. Nice to repeat of the story.
Lindsay helps Darla escape from Wolfram and Hart, and they shoot a security guard, which is a little aggressive. And Lindsay gets away with a lot of shit.
Lindsay, it's the hair. When you've got that Bieber hair, you just don't know what you're supposed to do with yourself.
Exactly. So our next flashback is back during the Boxer Rebellion, and this is like the exact same flashback we got on Buffy. Darla leaves the house. Angel pushes her against a wall, and he's like, "I tracked you down. Like, I have my soul back. I'm ready to kill. Like, I want us to be what we were." And Darla's like, "That's impossible." And he's just like, "I can still be the vampire that you once knew."
No, you can't. You're not the man I knew anymore.
And she invites him back into her life. And this is the same time that Spike was killing the Slayer there in China. So we're in Wolfram and Hart's parking garage. Angel grabs Lindsay, wraps a cable around his neck, and is ready to kill him, only to find out that Lindsay was calling him. And Lindsay explains to Angel that Darla is going to be killed and where it's going to happen. So Angel leaves to try to save her and warns Lindsay that if it's a trick, he'll come back and kill Lindsay. But let's have another flashback. We're back in the Boxer Rebellion. Angel's walking around the streets. He doesn't enjoy the carnage. He comes across a missionary family with a baby, and Darla shows up to try to investigate. So Angel like leads her away from there, saying that there's nothing but bodies, like saving this family, basically. They bump into Drew and Spike. Drew says, "Oh, Spike's just killed a Slayer." Angel congratulates them. And then Drew's like, there's fear coming from the direction of these missionaries. And Angel is like, or no, and then Drew's like, oh, wait. Yeah, Angel's like, "I'm bored with this rebellion." No, I'm just very confused because I wrote he and she in this, and there are a lot of he's and she's. My notes are really bad. So he goes to the house he's sharing with Darla, and Darla's like, "I know exactly what happened. I know that you tried to lead me away from these missionaries. I know that you're only killing rapists and murderers like Dexter style." Interestingly enough, Julie Benz goes on to play Dexter's wife on the show Dexter.
Haha.
Yeah. There's a lot of random comments coming from our Twitch channel, which normally we don't have any viewers. But hey, Twitch,
tell me what's going on.
it's literally just letters. It's a whole heap of letters. Anyway, so where were we? She says she killed everyone in the family except for the baby, and now she expects Angel to kill this baby.
Nope.
He obviously cannot do it, and he escapes with the baby, ending his relationship with Darla. In the meanwhile, in modern day, Angel shows up to where they're going to kill Darla and saves her and takes her back to the hotel, and everything's good. They're in the hotel, and then Darla runs away saying, "Don't seek me out again." I skipped a lot of stuff there, but I was mostly bored with it, so that's why.
Because that was literally the whole point of the episode. It was for Darla to be like, "Hi, bye," and now we're done with her storyline, and we get to move on to something else. Hopefully it's better.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be. Wasn't the season supposed to get better? Is it going on?
Yeah, it does.
Wow.
Not completely, but it does.
Not completely better, not good better, but
every foreign language title of this episode is just Darla. So there you go.
Darla. Let me tell you what.
Trivia.
Darla, darling, I'm giving this a C-. I get what the purpose of this episode was, but also not at all, because literally it was like the redo of a storyline that they've already used.
Yeah.
This is like phoning it in. This is like, good for you. You have a hit show with Buffy and they gave you a second hit show and now you've just gotten too big for your britches is what happened.
So I have two really positive things to say about this episode. The first one is that I like the return of the Master and seeing like Darla's siring from the Master. I like that a lot. The other thing that I like is that in all of Angel's flashbacks, Spike is like a goofy loser. Versus on the same flashbacks on Buffy, Spike was like this badass, like killing Slayers. But in Angel's version of the flashbacks, he's just a loser. Which
like
I thought
Angel is jealous.
which I thought was really cute. Yeah, this episode's a C. I just don't care.
Don't care at all.
It is what it is. I used to really like this episode. I used to watch these two back to back and think like,
Why?
oh my gosh, like I love these. I have no idea why I liked it now because it does nothing for me. So that is where we stand on Fool for Love and on the episode Darla. Next week's episode, Buffy episode is called Shadow, which, if I remember correctly, has a lot to do with Buffy's mom in the hospital. And then the Angel episode is called The Shroud of Ramon, which I don't remember at all.
These both sound like real uplifting episodes.
So here we are. Jewel, this has been fun as always. Thanks everyone for watching. If you're listening to this, please join our Patreon page. Come hang out with us. We love doing the show and we love talking to you guys every week, even if we're having days like today where we're grumpy and sweaty and we have puppies that we need to attend to so they don't jump off the balcony.
I'm going to go ice my back or use a heating pad like an 85-year-old woman.
All right. Bye, everybody.
GrrArgh.
GrrArghCast.